Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still repeating history on the price chart, but we're now at a pivotal moment in this fractal where the price could start changing directions in the short term as a likely scenario. But this is just talking about the short term, as we now have a new signal flashing on this Bitcoin price chart, but we still have a lot of liquidity building below the price of Bitcoin that we cannot ignore. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment, alongside Ethereum now running into a crucial area of support on the price chart, while the price of XRP is repeating history compared to what we saw all the way back in 2022, potentially getting closer towards a continued crash in the price of XRP. So yes, I'm still currently in my XRP short position, betting on bearish price action, but I have just taken a small amount of profits over the last one day from this trade. So I'll explain all of this and more, and exactly how to make money in this crypto market throughout the video. So definitely watch this video from start to finish so that you don't miss out on any of this important information. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, indicating a larger correction or a larger bearish market. And on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have a massive bearish divergence continuing to play out, not yet being invalidated. So of course, over the last one day, nothing much has changed on the weekly time frame. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, right now the price of Bitcoin is still potentially repeating history, still playing out this fractal. And right now we're potentially approaching a similar point to where we were roughly around the middle of May 2022. Because obviously up until this point right here, we could see the price action that's already played out very nicely, basically following very similar price action to what we saw throughout April entering into May 2022. So first of all, basically since November 2025, we've been seeing a lot of choppy sideways price action, horizontal resistance, higher lows in the price, which was very similar to what we saw back here, basically in Q1 2022, around January, February, March 2022. And obviously this time around it was November, December 2025, and January this year. And so we're looking at the same time frame here, the price of Bitcoin daily time frame, and then we saw a confirmed breakout. Of course, higher lows, horizontal resistance, confirmed breakout, exactly like what we saw last time. And then we broke back below the point of the breakout, back below that point of resistance. We failed to hold that level on the price chart. Therefore, it was a failed breakout, invalidating the breakout, and that was a strong bearish signal pointing towards more bearish price action. And initially we saw a drop over the next couple of days, over the next few days, and then we started a little bit of choppy sideways price action, but still slowly heading in the bearish direction, as we could see right here. And then after playing that out, we saw another fast drop towards the downside, which is exactly what we saw over the last half a week or so. But potentially in the coming days, but especially at some stage over the next couple of weeks, 1 or 2 weeks, we're likely going to start slowing down the bearish price action. So not necessarily right this imminent moment, but we're likely at some stage, once again in the coming days, most likely within the next 1 to 2 weeks, start playing out something similar to what we saw basically in the second half of May 2022. So I want to make this clear. I'm not saying expect a massive bullish trend reversal or anything like that. I am not expecting any significant strength in the price of Bitcoin right now, but most likely at some stage in the coming days or weeks, we could start slowing down the bearish price action, just having a little bit of a break, a slight little relief from all of the bearish price action, most likely with a sideways consolidation, maybe a very slight little bounce here and there. Once again, do not be fooled. I'm not saying a massive bounce, a massive reversal. I'm not saying that. Just a slight little relief could be likely at some stage in the coming days or in the next 1 or 2 weeks. But then let's just say if that lasts for a couple of weeks, like what we saw back in May 2022, that lasted for roughly around 2 weeks, give or take. Obviously, what came next around start of June 2022 was a continued crash in the price. So remember, the bigger picture is still overall looking bearish. We're still playing out this massive bearish divergence, and we're still obviously sitting in the red for the super trend indicator. So overall, bigger picture, not looking good. Just the shorter term situation in the coming days or 1 or 2 weeks, we could see a slight little relief, just a break just in the short term before continuing more bearish price action maybe in a couple of weeks from now. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, obviously one of the reasons as well as to why we could start seeing just a slight little break from all of the bearish price action quite soon in the coming days or weeks is due to the fact that, of course, we're hitting well into oversold here in the daily Bitcoin RSI. And the last couple of times we saw this signal, obviously this one right here around 20th of November to 23rd of November, and all the way back here, as we can see on the price chart, around end of February 2025. The last couple of times we confirmed an oversold signal on the daily RSI for the price of Bitcoin, we did see at least some sort of bounce. Remember, this does not guarantee we've hit the bottom. It does not mean a massive bullish trend reversal, but usually we see some sort of bounce or maybe just some choppy sideways price action in order to reset the RSI out of oversold in the coming days or possibly weeks. And that oversold signal is also happening at the same time as running into these previous lows, which previously acted as strong support back here around April and March 2025, and that's sitting at roughly around 74 to 76,000. So like I explained in my last video, I would expect a lot of support around there on the price chart, 74 to 76,000. And in fact, if we're zooming out to the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, we could see just how significant this area is on the price chart, which is really in between around 72,000 to 76,000, a broader area on the price chart as significant support. Obviously, it held support right here at this massive low in the price around March to April 2025. But previously, all the way back here during 2024, this was very significant resistance for the price, which then flipped into support after, of course, we confirmed a breakout above that area. And so as of right now, because obviously we're approaching the area from the upside, this will likely act as support, not necessarily forever. It is possible that at some stage, maybe in a few weeks, we see a break lower, but at least in the shorter term, for the coming days, maybe the next couple of weeks, we could likely, in fact, we will likely hold this support. As always, I can't guarantee anything, but we'll likely hold this as support in the coming days or possibly weeks, especially now that we're flashing a bullish divergence on the price chart. I want to make this clear. This is not currently confirmed, but it is forming. It's just a signal that's flashing right now, not yet confirmed. We obviously already have lower lows at this stage, basically confirmed here in the 3-day candle closes in the price, but we still need to actually confirm the higher low in place here in the 3-day Bitcoin RSI. And if this actually confirms, once again, not confirmed, I want to make it clear, but if it confirms in the coming days, then that could likely result in either a slight bullish relief or maybe just a bit of choppy sideways price action. Basically is the most common outcomes, the most likely outcomes from a bullish divergence, which also still aligns with this fractal playing out on the daily time frame, suggesting that not necessarily right this instant, but at some stage in the coming days, most likely within the next 1 to 2 weeks, we'll start basically having a slight little relief at a break from all of the bearish price action. Is a very likely scenario, but remember, not necessarily the end of the bearish price action. It is quite likely we'll see much more bearish price action later on, maybe in a couple of weeks. And that next significant bearish move, if it eventually happens, will likely, of course, wipe out this massive area of liquidity towards the downside, which is still sitting in this Bitcoin liquidation heat map in between around 72,000 to 72.6K. So at roughly 72,500, we still have a lot of liquidity building around there on the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, which obviously tells us that the price will likely move towards that level at some stage in the coming weeks. So once again, in the shorter term, in the coming days, maybe the next 1 to 2 weeks, we could likely start forming a slight little relief, just a slowdown of all of the bearish price action here before potentially continuing more bearish price action maybe in a week or 2 from now, after first seeing just a slight little break. And so that is my current prediction for the price of Bitcoin in the shorter term. And of course, the bigger picture still not looking good for the price of Bitcoin and by extension, the rest of the crypto market. So yes, I'm still currently in my XRP shorts position, which I'll talk more about later in this video when I'm talking about XRP. But of course, if you want to take trades just like this for yourself to basically easily profit in the market, even if prices are dumping, you need to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And personally, I'm taking this trade right here over on the 2bit crypto exchange, as you can see. And so I'll make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. In fact, the first link below this video will take you to this page right here over on the 2bit crypto exchange, which by the way is also a no KYC exchange. And 2bit just recently partnered with La Liga. So for a limited time, there's a massive event that they're running right now with up to 800,000 USDT in prizes just by simply trading crypto using that link below the video. You could take advantage of these major prizes here. So especially if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. You might as well take advantage of this huge event happening right now over on 2bit, the exchange that I'm currently trading on right now, as you can see right here. And remember, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. Once again, first link below this video. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, and in the shorter term, obviously the Bitcoin dominance is having a slight bullish move, which means just in the shorter term, a lot of the altcoins on average are doing a bit worse than whatever Bitcoin is doing. But overall, in terms of the current price structure, the Bitcoin dominance is still looking relatively neutral, kind of just bouncing around somewhat sideways, which basically means expect a lot of the altcoin market on average to perform very similar to whatever Bitcoin is doing, not necessarily much better or much worse. So of course, if Bitcoin potentially in the coming days or within the next 1 or 2 weeks starts a slight little relief, but then at some stage continues a further dump, basically expect something very similar to that for a lot of the altcoin market on average is basically what this is telling us right now. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, right now the price of ETH is starting to run into a crucial area of support on the price chart based on this golden pocket area of support sitting in between around 2150 to 2250. So it give or take 2.2k, but really starting at around 2250, we have a lot of support in that region, as I've talked about many times here in the channel. And we've also previously found a lot of support in this area all the way back in June 2025. And at the same time as the price of ETH running into this significant area of support, testing this area of support where we've previously found a lot of support, we're also running into oversold here in the daily Ethereum RSI. In fact, we're pretty much extremely oversold at this point. And the last time we even hit oversold at all was back in around November 2025, around 20th to 23rd of November. And of course, that was around a local low in the price. Remember, that does not guarantee we've hit the bottom. It does not mean expect a massive trend reversal. It just means maybe in the short term for the coming days, maybe the next 1 or 2 weeks, we could see a bit of a break from all of the bearish price actions. So usually that means either some choppy sideways price action or a slight little bounce in the coming days. Remember, don't expect a lot of strength. Don't expect a huge reversal, just a slight little break from the bearish price action. I want to make that clear. But then overall, obviously, the larger trend is still very much bearish, which means potentially after we first play out that oversold signal in the coming days or possibly weeks, we could possibly see more bearish price action at some stage later on. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Ethereum price chart, zooming out on the price chart, we can see this significant area to pay attention to on the price chart sitting in between 2.2k to 2.4k. And previously, this has been significant support for the price of ETH over multiple years, dating all the way back from basically end of 2023, start of 2024, all the way up until now. We've seen many crucial bounces and points of support along this area, once again, in between 2.2k to 2.4k. And so if the price of ETH starts breaking below around 2.2k, especially below around 2150, below this golden pocket here, in that situation, the next significant area of support here on the 3-day Ethereum price chart is this area all the way down here, sitting in between 1,500, 1.5k to 1.6k. Now, of course, there could possibly be some short-term support levels along the way. For example, this level right here, based on a Fibonacci level at roughly around 1.8k. It's possible we could find support around that level if we first break below around 2150. But really, once again, the next significant area is at 1.5k to 1.6k, which means if we break below roughly 2.2k, especially below 2150, in that situation from around that level on the price chart down towards roughly 1.6k, that's almost a 30% dump, around a 27-28% move towards the downside, and that's with no leverage. So potentially a massive opportunity there for another shorts position. As always, not financial advice, but just pointing out what I'm seeing on the price chart. But remember, right now in the shorter term, we'll likely see just a slight little relief starting at some stage in the coming days, most likely within the next 1 to 2 weeks, just a slight little break from all of the bearish price action. But remember, we're not in the clear yet if we're talking about the larger trend, overall, this is still looking bearish if we're talking about the bigger picture, talking about the next few months. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, basically Solana is just following very similar price action to Bitcoin and Ethereum as usual. So ultimately, Solana is obviously still very much looking bearish in terms of the larger trends that we're in. Of course, in the shorter term, if Bitcoin and Ethereum and other cryptos start playing out just a slight little relief sometime soon, it's likely that Solana, being one of the major altcoins, will follow something similar to Bitcoin. But then obviously, bigger picture, still bearish, which means at some stage, maybe in a couple of weeks from now, it's likely we'll continue more bearish price action, potentially after we reset the RSI a little bit in the coming days or possibly weeks, because right now here in the 2-day Solana RSI, we are indeed hitting oversold for the first time since March 2025. And what came next back then, once again, that was not the bottom. This is not a bottom signal, but we did see just at least a short-term relief before eventually more bearish price action later on. And obviously right now we're also running into a major area of support on the price chart based on these previous lows that we set back in April 2025. The candle wick low sitting at around $95. These candle closes sitting at around $105. And of course, this candle wick low for this green candle right here sitting at around almost $100 exactly. So especially in between $95 to $100, I'd expect a decent amount of support in that area. And that's basically the area that we're testing right now. So once again, we are running into support at the same time as hitting oversold. So especially if Bitcoin, for example, starts just a slight little relief starting at some stage in the coming days, then we'll likely see something similar just in the short term for Solana, but overall looking bearish in terms of the larger trend. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, it's a somewhat similar situation for XRP. Obviously, the bigger picture still looking extremely bearish, still playing out this massive bearish divergence on the weekly XRP price chart that I did actually warn about here on the channel all the way back around end of July, early August last year, many months ago, almost half a year ago, warning about this multi-month crash in the price. You can even check my videos back then. They're all still public, talking about this right here. But obviously, now that we've broken below $1.80, now technically speaking, it still needs to confirm with this weekly candle close. But at this stage, obviously, we've already traded below $1.80 for a couple of days now. So on the daily time frame, we've already seen daily candle closes below that level. So obviously, now that we're breaking below $1.80, the first initial target was $1.60, which we've already hit as predicted. But the next significant area on the price chart, likely acting as a major point of support based on the Fibonacci area and also based on previous significant resistance, is sitting in between around $1.30 to $1.40. And so that is still a very likely price target, potentially in the coming weeks or months for the price of XRP. Remember, in the short term, if Bitcoin, for example, starts playing out just a slight little relief starting at some stage in the coming days, as I've been saying throughout the video, a lot of these altcoins follow very similar price action to what Bitcoin is doing, which means that could potentially help cause just a slight little relief at some stage starting in the next couple of days for XRP, especially here on the daily XRP price chart with the RSI now hitting oversold for the first time since around 10th to 11th of October 2025. And what came next was just a very slight bounce. Remember, I'm not saying a bullish trend reversal. I'm not saying expect a lot of bullish momentum, but maybe at some stage in the next couple of days, we could see either a very slight little bounce or maybe just some choppy sideways price action. Basically just a bit of a break from all of the bearish price action to help to reset this RSI, which can give us more room towards the downside later on. And so I'm simply just saying, if we see some sort of slight little bullish move or sideways consolidation, do not be fooled, because we can see that time and time again during this larger bearish trends. But that does not necessarily change the fact that we're still clearly in a longer term bearish trend, especially here on the daily XRP price chart, still playing out this massive bearish divergence on the weekly time frame, heading towards likely these lower targets as a likely scenario. Once again, 130 to 140 is the next major area to watch out for. And if we break below that area, as I've talked about many times here on the channel, if we break below $1.30, we could likely see a move down towards roughly 90 cents, more specifically around 92 to 93 cents as a significant level on the price chart based on this Fibonacci level and also based on previous significant resistance, really in between 90 cents to $1. And so due to all of this information, right now, of course, I'm still in my XRP short position, as you can see, but over the last one day, I did just take a small amount of profits out of this trade right around here, which I explained in my last video, because just before seeing this slight little bounce, I said we'll likely see just a slight little bounce in the short term, which is now played out exactly as predicted. And I'm saying in the coming days will likely continue. Just a slight little break from all of the bearish price action in the shorter term, starting at some stage in the coming days, and could maybe last for a week or two, not necessarily that long, but likely at least a week. We could see just a slight little relief, a break from all of the bearish price action before continuing more bearish price action later on, which is basically the reasons as to why I took a small amount of profits out of the trade. So yesterday it was a $100,000 XRP shorts position. Right now it's roughly around a 60 to 61,000 USDT XRP shorts position. And so as of recording this video, it's still around a 4,000 USDT unrealized profit, and right now around 3,700 USDT in realized profit. So this is already secured profit right here, still 4,000 USDT in unrealized profit. So overall, obviously well over 7,000, almost 8,000 USDT in profit in just a couple of days here while the price is dumping. And if we actually see a little bit more of a bounce, I'm not saying that will happen, I'm saying if we see a slight little bounce in the short term in the coming days, that could potentially provide for another entry opportunity to add to this short position, which of course, if I end up doing that, I will be sharing that here on the channel completely for free, transparently as always. And as for continued take profits and price targets, obviously those are the levels that I just mentioned a moment ago. So ultimately this trading strategy has not changed over the last one day. I did take a small amount of profits, as I said I would in my last video, and overall still in the trade. As I always say, I don't close the entire trade at any of one of these levels right here. I just basically reduce the size of the trade at each of these levels in case we see some sort of bounce from those levels, but not closing the entire trade at any one level. And so that is my exact trading strategy right now for the price of XRP, showing and sharing with you completely for free here on YouTube how I am profiting, how I'm making easy money in this market while prices are dumping. Yes, that is right. In case you're new to all of this, you can make a lot of money even during crashes. In fact, crashes are sometimes the best opportunities to make the most money. So if you're losing a bunch of money in crypto, you're probably following the wrong people in this market. And so with that being said, if we're taking a look at Chainlink on the weekly time frame real quick, we can see that right now the price of Chainlink is running into this massive area of support, but getting extremely close to confirming a break below this significant area of support, sitting in between $9.50 to $10, because as of recording this video, the price is currently sitting at roughly $9.50 on the low end of this area of support. And this next weekly candle close is in just a couple of hours from now. As of recording this video, it confirms at exactly midnight UTC Sunday night. And if we start confirming this break below roughly $9.50, and especially if we fail to get back above that level in the coming days and weeks, we'll likely at least easily see a move down towards $8 to $8.50 as the next major area of support based on previous significant resistance flipping into new support, and was also support back here and also back here, as we could see. But if the price of Chainlink confirms a break below $8, in that situation, we could potentially see a move all the way down towards around $5 to $5.50 as the next significant area of support to watch out for. But right now, once again, we're still testing this support at roughly $9.50, and then the next immediate drop would likely be down towards $8 to $8.50 if we first confirm the break below $9.50. But remember, do not make the mistake in thinking that all of this bearish price action is bad news and that it can only result in losses. Remember, as I've clearly shown and explained here on this channel, you can make a bunch of easy money in the crypto market, even when prices are dumping, using things like short positions, for example, to profit along the way towards the downside. So basically, this is just a similar opportunity to a major breakout trade like what we saw back here, breaking out towards the upside. It's just simply heading in the opposite direction. So rather than a long position or buying, we're just doing the opposite. We're using a short position. As always, not financial advice, but that's just simply showing what I'm currently doing to easily profit in this market. And remember, if you want to take trades just like this for yourself to also ideally easily profit in this market, you need to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And if you use the links below this video to those exchanges, you can take advantage of some massive bonuses that you can claim using those links if you want to. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well take advantage of those extra bonuses using the links below this video. And if you want to actually know how you can take trades just like this for yourself to easily profit in the crypto market, no matter what direction the price goes, then in that situation, check out these videos popping up right on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.